Hi, Kitu.
Hello.
Okay.
Ke teng, ke siame, ke tsogile, modimo mogolo. So, yeah, very grateful.
No, thanks for joining us on Fullview.
Thank you for having me.
When I made a request, it was an issue of, I hope she won't say no to me. And I'm actually humbled that you didn't, and we are having this discussion.
You know, Shonda Rhimes has that book of hers, A Year of Yes, or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And they did a whole movie on like yeses. And there was a time, I think maybe 2-3 years ago, when I was like, maybe I need to experiment with a year of no's. Just say no. Because I say yes to everything. And now maybe my yes is too cheap. Like, I must make it expensive, this yes of mine. But then I was like, you know what? I think there's also a treasure in that, you know? Like, because you never know how anything serves you. And so if you say yes and you have the experience, then you have the opportunity to say, maybe not, you know? But you come from an informed place, not like prejudging. So I like to live a life of curiosity. So I'm always curious, like, oh, me? Little old me?
Yeah.
Okay, why me? I'm also like, ooh, what it is about me.
But surely it's that kind of a yes for specific things, if you get my gist.
I mean,
not the one that one would think of.
Yeah. That one is expensive.
It's expensive. Okay, no, that's fine. No, I'm glad you could read the book while it's closed.
That one is expensive.
So it takes a fortune to get that one.
You will enjoy the fruit by the sweat of your brow. Le Bible ya bua.
Okay.
May we sweat for the things that matter.
Can you quote a verse so that I can go and refer?
Don't do me like that.
Okay, Keitumetse, let's get to the crux of the matter. This is not an interview. We're just having a chat.
Okay.
As I was going through my stuff, I came across the fact that Keitumetse Kasonkola, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I don't like to butcher people's surnames because I wouldn't want the same to be done to me.
I find it so fascinating that people struggle with my surname because you just follow the letters. And however that comes out, I'm just like, yay, we made it. Yeah, that sounds good.
No, that's fine. And as I was saying, I believe you grew up in Mafikeng, or Mahikeng as they call it.
So yes and no, right?
Okay.
I'll explain. So I was born in Klerksdorp because my grandmother Nadula goes Kuma, which is the township just outside of Stilfontein. So that was my grandmother's house. And my mom grew up between Potchefstroom and Mabopane. So living with different relatives at different stages of her life. But when I was born, we were in Kuma for a very short amount of time.
Yes.
And then we went to Mabopane.
Okay.
Actually, we stayed in a back room called Hibroni when I was really small. And then we moved from there to go to Butung in Garangua. And then my dad got a job go Unibo. And we lived in Mafikeng really from the time I was maybe 3, 4. And then we moved back to Pretoria when I was 9.
Okay.
So I don't think it qualifies being in Mafikeng for like 4 or 5 years. I can't say, guess I'm Mafikeng.
Okay, I suppose we must also correct Google because Google is misleading us, but it's fine. Point taken.
Do you know, but Pretoria people don't like to claim me either. They're just like, Swana say, you're definitely not one of us. So,
no, fair enough. And I must tell you, at least I know much about the areas you mentioned. Kuma, I know Kuma Kostelfontein. They used to have what they call the Tambai. Yeah, so that tells you I know the place very well. And then in the surroundings, Matlosane, Alabama, Kanana.
Yes.
Yeah, nice areas that I think I'm more familiar with.
Okay.
So in essence, what you're saying is you were born and bred in Kuma.
Well, yeah, maybe let's say that.
Okay. And your schooling, I believe you did your schooling in Pretoria.
Yes.
Okay, Pretoria Girls High.
Yeah, That's my school.
Okay. And then how was it?
I loved my time at Girls High. Sometimes I missed boys because I was just like, oh, girls can be so like demure and cute and well behaved.
Yeah.
Sometimes I miss the silliness of boys, but I really loved my time at Girls High.
Yeah.
I think people often say like, all girls schools, girls are catty, girls are like this, girls are like that. Look, I don't know what it's like now, but everyone had their space, had their place to shine. Like there wasn't, those are the clique of the popular girls. Like people, you just were able to do whatever you did. But I will say, I don't think a school like Girls High is for everyone. Because by the time I was in matric, I was the new girls prefect. And there is a specific culture that comes with, I'll say, those kinds of schools. Maybe because of the heritage, maybe because of the old way of doing things, maybe. And not everyone really can thrive in those spaces. Because I've seen girls really not do well. And then you meet them and they've changed to schools and their blazers are full of like badges. And you're like, okay, girl, can't you had this in you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it just wasn't fertile soil for them. So I really loved my time there. My half-sister, also very shy little girl, she went to Girls High. I found her voice. And, so I think if you are aligned to that kind of institution, it can really be a great place for you to flourish.
Okay. I don't want to get into trouble with girls, but I do understand when you say you missed that element of voice, because at times girls can be too much.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's aligned with them. But when did you realize that after your matric, there's something that's knocking in a form of arts?
When you ask it like that, it sounds like something that occurred later on in life. So the first time I ever watched a movie was called Mega City.
Okay.
And it was Sarafina.
Yes.
And, this is how old I am. There was an intermission in the cinema. And so there was a guy who was selling popcorns and things.
Yeah.
And the movie stopped and people bought popcorn and what. The lights came up and, and then the lights came back on and the movie continued. But right at the beginning, Sarafina says, an actress doesn't do. She just has to be. Yeah. And I was like, what is this
nice
actress thing? And so I always imagine myself as an actress, /this/that/ So I always imagine myself as a multi-hyphenate because at some point I wanted to be an actress, come writer, come director, come singer, come veterinarian. And I was just like, I'll just make it all happen. And I don't know how, but we'll just do it all. So no, I don't think I'll be a vet. Ain't nobody got time to go back to school for 7 years. Okay. I don't have that capacity right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's something I've always known I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to tell stories.
Quite interesting, because you're mentioning Sarafina when we're having a chat on the eve of the Youth Day.
Yeah.
So what a coincidence.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Mega City. Allow me just to take a little bit back to the issue of Mafikeng. There used to be Mabana Cultural Center. By any chance, were you exposed to that?
Through TV, because you would see a lot of things on Bob TV.
Yes.
And I think there have been times in my life where I've wished I had an older sibling. And I really think when I look back, because I used to sit and watch movies with Gregory Haynes and various other performers. And I think if I had a sibling, I would have had the courage to tell them that, I'd love to dance. I'd love to go to Mabana, right? But because I didn't have the courage to ask my parents if I could do that, then I robbed myself of the opportunity to even try.
Yeah.
So no, I wasn't a part of Mabana. I just would watch people that were from a distance. The ballroom dancing, this, that. It was just,
Okay. No, I must say we need to give credit to his due. There's produced very good talent.
Very.
And when I came across you as well, I thought, no, the way you're so talented, maybe you're a product of Mabana. But I got to understand now that no, it didn't happen. Sorry. And then if you could kindly take me through your life after matric. I believe you went to Wits University and you studied
so
arts.
So matric was a strange time. that was the year that my parents separated. And that was quite devastating. So, like, normally I'm very much a planner.
Yeah.
Like, I plan ahead and
Yeah.
But I didn't really plan very much for life after school.
Yeah.
And so my mom was just like, what is going on with this child? Okay, she likes drama. Okay, let's get her into a college. So I went and I did a 1-year course at Oakfields College. And then while there, I was like, Kidu, wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. So then I negotiated with my dad that, can I please go to Wits and do drama? And he was like, drama?
Yeah.
No, Kidu, you must be an engineer. You must do something big. And I was like, well, I think drama is big. I think it's a valid thing. And he was like, no, Utlezanga drama. And I was like, you know what? Actually, Wits is the only place where I could do drama therapy. You see, because I know he's a psychologist and he specialized in industrial psychology, but he also did clinical stuff. So I was like, no, I can be a drama therapist.
Yeah.
But remember that advert? I have to go through your half to get to my half. So I was like, I have to go through drama to get to drama therapy.
Yes.
So
just to balance the two. No, fair enough.
So then he was like, okay, it's fine. I'll let you register. And that's how I got to do drama, because I sold my dad a dream.
Okay.
Oh, man.
And I must say as well, Vets produced good products when it comes to drama.
That's true.
Mushidi, I think she's one of the products of Vets. She also did drama, and she was one of the good actresses that we have in this country. But allow me to touch base on the issue of the separation of Mama and Papa.
Mm-hmm.
Did it affect you by any chance?
No, horrendously. It was a horrific time.
Yeah.
I think it's only now that one begins to really do the work of healing.
Yeah.
Because healing is a strange thing. Like, you can apply the ointment to the wound, and maybe the wound can close, but every time you touch it, it's sore. So that tells that it hasn't quite healed yet.
Yeah.
So I think, I've gone through therapy, but I think now-ish in my life, I'm ready for all of the different things that I've tried to pour into that wound. Now they're coming together. Maybe because I have the openness of mind, openness of consciousness to be able to allow that to happen. But at the time, it was horrific. And it was really bad. It affected everyone so differently. My mom was so devastated. She just didn't want to cry in front of her kids. So because at the time, it was President Mbeki's era, and he had a vision to sort of like empower other African states. So there was a pilot project, because my mom worked for the Department of Public Service and Administration, and she was kind of affair with the Batupili principles, and like even the Batupili, I'll call it a thing because I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but the Batupili-ness, she was part of the team that kind of conceptualized, whatever the word is. And so then in the DRC, they were helping the government to establish certain, governance policies and things like that at that time. So then my mom was asked to join them. And she was like, yes, I will go to the DRC. And what did that mean? My dad started working in Vaal, and he already was only coming home on weekends, because initially he was driving every day. But that's ridiculous. From Pretoria North, it's ridiculous. So he ended up getting an apartment and staying there. So when my mom left for the DRC, she was in the DRC for 2 weeks, and then she would come home every fortnight, but she would land on a Friday and leave again on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And my dad would come home on weekends. And some weekends, maybe he wouldn't come home, because also, I suppose I grew up watching my parents work on weekends. So my dad has always been the head of HR wherever he's worked. And so during the week, I'd always be like, dude, why do you come home with so much work? When do we get to see you?
Yeah.
But I got to understand, like, he, in the week, is in all these meetings.
Okay.
And because you're in meetings the whole time, who's attending to your paperwork? So he would come home with the paperwork. And so I understood when he didn't come home sometimes, but it was a lot because then I was left to head up our household. So I would see to it that our helper has her monies at the end of the month. And if she needed to go home, then I would, in my girl's high uniform, catch the bus with her, walk her to Bosman because she was like, no, I can't walk by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, girl, I don't drive. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So we catch the bus. Yeah. I'd walk her to Bosman, then run to wherever I could catch the bus to go to school. Oh my goodness, matric was horrific. And I think there was a long time that I blamed my dad and my mom for their separation because it made no sense to me.
Yeah.
But one thing that I can say that taught me was sometimes prioritizing your joy unfortunately hurts other people.
No, it does.
And unfortunately, those are the wages. And, I think you could please other people and try to protect them and forsake your joy, your peace, your whatever. But in some ways, it'll catch up. It'll catch up.
And are you the only child?
No, I'm the oldest of 3 with both my parents.
Okay.
And then my dad has 2 others.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm the oldest of 5. Yeah. Oh, and everybody looks to me like, you do. Will you speak to mom and dad about what?
Yeah.
You see, that's why I needed an older sibling, someone who I can also send.
No, it makes sense, and that's quite an intriguing story. And I must also touch base on the fact that I assume the separation also had an impact in you in such a way that you don't see yourself getting married one of the days, given what your parents went through.
I have an ex who I dated for a very long time. And closer to the time when we broke up, he was like, oh, but you never wanted to get married. And I was like, did you ever ask me if I wanted to get married? Did you ever give me the opportunity to say no?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, but I just assumed, And I'm like, and that's the problem because we discussed so many future-orientated, family-orientated things. And so despite the hurt of my parents' divorce, I had imagined what life could be like for me because I'm not my mom, I'm not my dad, right? And I could have success in a marriage. But he was just like, oh, I didn't think you wanted to. And it was actually last week, I was thinking back to that conversation. I was like, shame, as much as I was mad at him at the time, he was right. Then at that point, I had no desire to get married.
That's fine. No, fair enough. And I suppose you then graduated and then you had to face the reality of now getting a job. And I suppose in 2011, you got your first gig.
Yes.
With Keitumetse.
Yes.
And I must say, that was one of the cast that had so many talented individuals like Reboy Kipolo. And I mean, were you not intimidated when you first got the call up?
So I had never watched Keitumetse because I came in on season 2 of the production because the way the SABC had scheduled it was that while we were shooting, the sitcom would start airing. And if anybody knows Keitumetse, my character, Jane, there is no way Jane can be pregnant. Yeah. So the actress who played Jane before, she was heavily pregnant, 7-8 months, where you couldn't hide it.
Yeah.
And so that's why they had to cast differently. And I think the intention was always to go back to the previous actress. But I don't know. But I ended up staying on for the duration of the show, which was a blessing, which was great. Yeah. But I think the intimidation didn't come from Brabi. Maybe because I was more familiar with Brabi. Brabi is my mom's Mama Lume's cousin.
Okay.
So I grew up kind of knowing him.
No, I was just making an example with him in a sense that, I mean, it was an experienced kind of a cast, if I may use that, And at times it becomes difficult,
Meme Ditshego, on the other hand, that woman, rest her soul, bless her heart. The day I met her, she's like, and who's this? I was like, I'm Jane.
Yeah.
She was a tough cookie. Like, you really had to prove your salt with her because she's also a veteran actress and she has a very strict way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of that production, I had to fail a semester to do Keitumetse because you're not allowed to perform. And I was just like, these people are such haters. Why won't they let us perform? Because when you're in the industry, you're working 12-hour days.
Yeah.
When are you going to attend class? When are you going to focus on things? So I had to drop out to deregister a bunch of subjects for that season. But maybe because it found me in school, maybe because I have a curious heart and a teachable spirit, I went in ready to learn. I learned so much about industry discipline, the do's and don'ts. You can't do this, you can't do that. And those are things I would not have learned in university. And it's such a gift when you're able to share a screen or a stage with veteran performers because you really learn so many unspoken things. And I can see that people get very frustrated with younger people. They get frustrated even with people my age. And it's because there are certain things that no one is ever taught. There's a discipline and a decorum in the industry that is integral to how things can come to fruition and move ahead in a progressive way. And when people are not told that, there are ways in which, the machine unhinges in very tiny ways, but then the machine's not working smoothly and efficiently. So.
And ever since, you never looked back after that, such an experience.
No.
Because when I look at what followed after The Throne, Champions, Scandal, you name them, the list is endless. How was it after getting that break from Keitumetse and then now opportunities start to open up for you?
I'm so glad that that's what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah.
On the inside, that's not my lived experience.
Is it?
So Keitumetse I did while I was still studying at Wits. And then when I graduated, I decided, I want to do my master's. Yeah. And then I started doing my master's, but then I fell pregnant and my blood pressure was like all over the place. So I actually couldn't finish my master's. Yeah. And that was the year that I was cast in Generations. It was the year I was cast in Generations and like a lot of Vlokshan Bioscope stuff. But because my blood pressure was like all over, I managed to do Generations, but all the other stuff, I had to let it go fly by. And I was just like, oh gosh, this is you, Lord, punishing me for having sex before I got married. Like now I don't have a career. I have to pass everything by. I was so sad. But performance is something that, especially earlier on in my career, was something I was doing alongside other things. So my primary focus was studies. And I get to do Keitumetse. Then I had my son and my primary focus was raising him. And I get to continue with Keitumetse from time to time. So it wasn't too disruptive from the main thing I was doing. But when he started going to school, it was like, well, girl, now go and earn that money. Yeah. So then I became a full-time actress in 2018, 19, just before COVID.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh no, now I have to prove myself again, starting from the bottom.
Yes.
Then things shifted with the pandemic. And I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah. Where am I? I'm drowning. Yeah. So it was hard. It was tricky.
Okay. Now I'll come back to the issue of the son and Generations.
Yes.
I see some bit of excitement in you. I mean, it has been there for long.
Yeah.
And we must give credit to Mfundi.
Yes.
Though there are politics around in Generations. But how was it for you? First time experience having to work with?
Generations is actually the very first professional set I ever walked on. Because, my parents know random people. I think it's just so bizarre. Yeah. My mom one day was like, oh, you want to be an actress? I ran into somebody who gets people onto Generations. But she didn't know what it was. So this person that she knew provided background actors for Generations. Yeah. And she was like, oh, my daughter wants to be an actor. Please, like, mutsinge. Yeah. And the guy was like, okay, she can come like these dates.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that at that time, it was school holidays, I think it was June-ish. And so my best friend accompanied me. And we spent the whole day at the SABC. And she was not prepared to be on screen. But I was like, girl, come. They said you must
Go
come.
for it.
So we were
Yeah.
there in the background. What were we shooting? It was the episode where Mawatu Monso was revealing her wedding dress. So even like the little banter between Bramenzi was like, oh, he mustn't come and act. You will never have a life. And I just looked at him like, mo, you can't experience the monate alone.
Yeah, you wanna
And
feel it as
we
well.
were
Yeah.
such celebrities. Every day we'd walk to the bus stop. People would be like, oh, we saw you guys on Generations. And that was so much fun. And then fast forward a few years later, actually Generations is one of two productions who told me I wasn't fat enough. Because initially I had auditioned, I forgot the girl's name, but it was Chipa's girlfriend. And she was the plus size girl who had like an eating disorder. And they were like, oh, we love you, Gitu, but, well, this is the word I got from my agent. Love Gitu, we'd love to cast her, but she's just not fat enough for the role.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I've never heard that in my life.
Yeah.
So I ended up being one of the other girls in the plus size competition. And I was the mean girl. And it was so much fun. Yeah. And I remember my grandma calling me and she was like, okay, you were on Generations years back, but in the background.
Yeah.
But now you're like on Generations.
Yeah.
Kidu, if they tell you to kiss Kenneth Mashaba, you must run. You must run. Don't do it. Don't do it. Ibile, tell me how much those people are paying you.
Yeah.
If they want you to kiss that man, I will pay you that money. Just leave. Don't work there.
What was the reason for that, if I may ask?
I think Kenneth Mashaba was just such a villainous character.
Yeah,
and she was just like,
definitely,
no, I don't want you anywhere near my child because Dini he clearly has a thing for young girls, like, and you're pretty, like, of course Kenneth is gonna want to kiss you too.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Brasputla this years later. I'm like, I wonder what my grandma would think because now he's my husband.
Yeah, and very, very interesting because I mean he's also one of the good talents we have in this country.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
When I auditioned for the role of Talita, at the time I hadn't been watching Scandal for a while. And so I was like, who is this woman? Oh, Tapelo. Who's Tapelo? So then I watched a few episodes and I'm like, oh, okay. And but I didn't have a sense of like what is this character? Where is it going? I was just like, okay, no, it's fine. It's always been a dream of mine to be on Scandal. So of course, if they say come through, I'm happy to just come through, even if it's just for the 3 months. Whatever it is that I'll be contributing, I also have a heart for service. So wherever I am, I don't see it necessarily as a job that must pay me and must do this for me. It's an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to give God the glory with the gift that He has given me as well, you know? So I walked onto set and someone was like, oh, here's your husband. And I turn around and I'm like,
Kenneth.
no.
Yeah.
Not because of anything else, but it's just like, is my iron sharp enough to help sharpen his iron? Because that's like a Japanese blade.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I don't like, it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
Already the character is intimidating. How do I play a woman who is the mother of children basically my own age? How do I do that convincingly? So I had to make certain choices. I then decided, okay, I'm going to translate these scripts with my mom and speak more of like Setswana that's more like closer to literature than the normal Setswana that I would speak, just to try and age her a little bit. But yeah, Brasputla really, I think he elevated my performance, Jam.
But I must also say it takes talent, to showcase, because given the fact that you have just highlighted that you had to be a mother to older kids, or actually more or less same your age, I mean, it's not easy. And I was fortunate as well that I did follow Scandal, and I could see that you guys, you and Sputla actually did complement each other as husband and wife.
Yay!
As much as there were so much secrets from Talita, who was conniving, lying, you can name all sorts of things. And I'm touching on the character mainly because it changed the storyline as well in the process. where now the truth had to come out. There was a fallout between yourself and Sputla, and at the ultimate end, you're now sitting in jail. So how was it too? Because for me, that character, you were genuine, you know, and it just shows how much talent you have, because you could assume or tell that, no, this is happening in real. And if you can just take us through that.
I think the thing about performance is you have to be curious about ways of being.
Yeah.
And they always say, don't judge your character.
Yeah.
Because even all of us, we sit wherever we are and we could be all things. Today you can say, oh, I would never do that. It's because life hasn't pushed you to the point where that is even a consideration, you know? So you have to be open to all the possibilities of things that could happen, and then be curious about what it is that could drive that person to get there, right? And so I had to sit for a long time with Talita. There were times I'd be like, girl, what is this? That man left you. Like,
exactly.
Just pick up your dignity and move. But then I also remembered how many things get lost in the fire, because there were ways in which, looking at Talita's story and her getting unhinged, I was like, okay, but this comes from a place of hurt.
Yeah.
And it's a hurt that I've seen before, because my mom felt a similar kind of hurt when her marriage disintegrated. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see how that can be. I could sympathize with her. So I suppose, yes, from that you draw from your own experience, you draw from the experiences of people near you, so that you can make this real and plausible and possible. And I think it is because I had a front row seat to my mom's pain that I was able to say, oh, okay, this is where it comes from Talita. The difference is my mom's not a liar.
No, you know. And I must say, I feel sorry for Toriso as well, because she fell into a being a victim as well.
Yeah.
And while we're still on the soap, we see a transition where I wouldn't be sure whether it's a correct assertion to say it looks like the soapies are reaching sell-by date, given the fact that we have seen most of them have been phased out. What is a reality around the soapies going forward?
I think we all know that adage, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? And when people think of that, they think of economics and how everything goes back to the bottom line. At the end of the day, this is a business, and it has to make business sense. And I meet a lot of people, they're like, no, how can you end Scandal? I'm like, but be honest, how much TV are you watching now? Recently, there's just been so much talk of Michael Jackson, right? And it was just so fascinating to me. I could be wrong because I'm maybe not remembering it properly, but someone mentioned that sort of early on in Michael Jackson's career, there were like maybe 30 channels in America. You could only watch 30 channels. So if there's like 100 million people, you only have 30 channels, and then you get so many eyeballs on each channel, right? Even if you think about musicians, when people are like, oh, who are you listening to? There were only so many musicians when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But now every other person is a musician, come this, come that, and they have a song on Spotify. And, you know, so I love how democratized that technology and everything has made entertainment and performance. But it also means that it's really dispersed people's attention. So instead of having like 100,000 or 100 millions of people to vie for their attention amongst the 30 of you, there's so many of you.
Yeah.
And so realistically, the bottom line has shifted for, you know, traditional platforms. And so because of that, unfortunately, that hasn't changed that. This is an expensive thing to do, you know. To make film and TV, it costs millions to make a production. Yeah. That hasn't changed, despite the fact that the return on that investment has shifted.
Exactly.
And so that is the reality that we're facing.
Yeah, and you're quite spot on, because we cannot overlook the fact of streaming services as well. putting so much pressure. The only setback is as long as there's no loss of jobs, then that's okay. But in terms of the evolution, it's not something that we can run away, especially from a technological point of view. And just share with our audience, will Talita be sentenced, or will she be out of jail eventually? I mean, it's coming to an end, so Stan will understand.
That girl's not going anywhere out into freedom. Yeah. She's just gonna live her days.
Yeah.
Remembering her heydays with Kupi, her love.
Yeah, and then eventually there'll be freedom. She'll be the same Talita.
Maybe if she behaves better, they'll give her early release. Maybe but I don't know. I don't see it. Okay. I don't see it.
No, I see you scared that Stan will say, why did you give the storyline? But it's fine.
Because
I do understand.
I must be in his good books. Maybe because I not for another show.
No, that's fine. Fair enough. And then the next chapter I'm gonna interlink it with your son. There's a character you did on Champions.
Yes, Nkele.
Wow, Sirite.
Yes.
Look, what was fascinating about that was an element of being a mother, and I think it's exactly what you did from the beginning of the production until the end part of it.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing this in a sense that it's showing me that was a true reflection of how a mother should portray herself, especially in terms of the upbringing of his or her own kids, actually her kids. So if you could kindly just share if you agree with my analysis on that or not.
No, I agree 70%.
Yeah.
But the other 30% is, okay, I think I'm a bit weird.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an oddball because I don't know that intrinsically I believe in right and wrong. I think things are useful and not useful. Yeah. I think things are loving or not loving. And so I often wonder, is this the most useful thing? Is this the most loving thing that one can do? And I try to lean towards the most useful, the most loving thing. And I try to stay away from right and wrong because give yourself a little bit of time, give yourself a little bit of distance. You can be like, oh, that thing was wrong. Well, I viewed it as wrong, but maybe it wasn't all the way wrong because things are never absolute,
Yeah.
So I think, yes, she did the best that she could. But I also believe that no one has to anything. Even your mom, they don't owe anybody a damn thing. You don't have to anything.
Yeah.
Everything is a matter of choosing. Everything is a matter of grace and favor. And so I think the thing that she chose, she believed was the best thing to choose. Yeah. But I think she needed to bring in a little bit of some toughness as well that she was afraid to. Yeah.
But the good thing is the mother has always been supportive, and which brings this element about your son in real life.
Yeah.
I did some bit of digging and I got to understand that you never had that ample time to be part of his life due to the fact that you did experience some postnatal depression.
I think, so earlier I was saying how there were so many jobs and things that I was pursuing that I had to release because, and I won't say mine was a difficult pregnancy, but I don't know why my blood pressure was elevated. Yeah. And so because of that, so many things had changed and I was just like, ugh. So I think the blues began then, before he was even born. Okay. And then he was born, and you know what? We get a lot of the things or ideas or perspectives because maybe we don't have enough conversations in person about these things. We get these ideas from film and TV or, mass media. And so when you think of motherhood and giving birth, like the correct thing is they put the baby on your chest and you're like, oh, my baby. And you're just so in love and so happy. when they gave me my son, I was like, oh, he's here. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Who are you? So it took me a while to learn him, to learn to love him. It didn't happen immediately because, quite frankly, he's a stranger from another universe. I personally find pregnant people very...
Yeah.
I don't know what the better word is. It's just, it's a bit creepy. And then the tummy moves because the child, it's like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that was happening to me. And I was the pregnant lady. And some people find it very fascinating, but already it was just this weird thing. So even when my son arrived, it was like, oh, okay, but it feels like someone just dropped a child at my doorstep. Like, are you sure this is my child? And then I remembered my mom saying, oh, when you have a child, you must look for something. So I looked and I'm like, okay, so that they don't mix him up with someone else, you know? So I looked for something and I was like, okay, there's his mark. So I know that this one is mine.
Yeah.
But it was just really strange. And when I've spoken to some of my friends who've given birth as well, the feeling of that distance and it closing over time, like not feeling immediately tight-knit with your child. Apparently it's not strange. It's like a common thing. So that was a relief to know, but it wasn't easy in the beginning. I did feel very like alienated from him. Sometimes I felt maybe upset. Why did you choose to be born now? Like, I had a plan, you know.
And while you're also on top of your career, I mean,
Like
but
things were just about to take off.
You did overcome it eventually.
Yeah, we did overcome it. And I think that's the thing about community. The unfortunate thing is we measure how good things are monetarily. It's about the bottom line. So when people say, oh, the people who live in rural areas, in township areas, they're so rich in ways that they don't know. But their lived experiences, I'm not rich, you know, gravy. But what people don't see is, and it's things that annoy them, like, oh, you don't have your own peace of mind. See, everyone's always in your business. Everybody knows everything about you. And as I've grown up, I'm like, but that's such a treasure, you know, because if you want to date someone, but if you're all from the same hood, you're like, oh, Thabo, okay, wako section mang, oh, mang. Someone knows that family. Someone can say, utlokomele that family because papa bone una you know? And so then you're able to know. You go in knowing, if this man one day raises a hand to me, I'm not surprised. It didn't catch me blindsided. Tokomela that family, something, you know, not that people had the vocabulary to say, oh, there's autism in that family, but they could say that there's something that's a little bit odd about, you know, and so they didn't have the tools to say genealogy, DNA, but that knowing that, oh, people generations above have known these people. These are what these people are like. You get to have that information. Whereas now who grew up in the burbs, when I meet Sipho Komolong, I just have to go by whatever Sipho presents to me and hope to goodness. But I'm wearing rose-colored glasses. I'm not going to see Sipho for like really, really, really. So I think that's a gift, you know, the gift of, oh, I can tell my key, hey, I'm going away for a couple of days sharp. And then when I see someone at my gate, it's like, why are you here? But you don't have those things in other spaces. So when I gave birth, I was like, this is why you would stay home and just be home and be tended to by your family so that you could take the time to learn to love your child. But it's also not all on you, you know. Someone else can hold the baby, change and feed the baby. Even if it was just me and my kid's dad, I'm just like, just the two of us? Like, there was a time where I had to really even schedule when to use the loo because the child wants to be always, on you, you know? And so it was like, oh, okay, I see the value in that. And it was really because family and friends were there that I was able to, you know, whatever the English word is.
No, I had to draw the line with that storyline of Champion with this, because to me, I could see some motherly love there. And out of all the productions you have done, what stood up for you? Which one stood out for you?
Champions was my favorite.
Is it?
Champions was my absolute favorite.
Yeah. The producers were good as well, I assume.
Yeah, the producers were great. But it was just, it's, that thing where they say, don't just pray for a job, but pray for an environment that's not toxic. And really, I found that was such a fertile environment. I remember when I met Tato for the first time, I didn't know Tato. Yeah. But I was like, oh, why did he come late to the audition? Oh, he was shooting something else. Oh, sorry, star. But from the moment we rehearsed for the audition, like the callbacks and the chemistry tests, some of the questions that he asked me, this curious chap, and I was like, oh, he reminds me so much of me. And then Tao came, and when we were cast as mother and daughter, I was like, I remember saying to my mom, if I didn't get Champions, it's because that kid wasn't cast as Tato. If he's cast as Tato, I'm his mom. Like that's what it is. Yeah. So I knew. So when we were cast, I walked into the room. He's like, I knew you were gonna play my mom, and I'm like, I knew you were gonna play my son. Yeah. So the love and the respect was so real. You know, Minky being a newbie to the industry, also very keen to like immerse herself and learn and grow. That was a real family unit. Like we speak amongst ourselves, we elevate and cheer each other on. So it was so real. It wasn't just, oh, we're colleagues and peace up. We really did stand and grow and feed into each other. And that's not to say that in on other sets it hasn't been like that, but just the depth of it was different with Champions, and that's why I loved it.
I should also take credit because I had a good eye for it. But overall, how are you handling being a public figure? Because I can imagine wherever you go, everybody wants to have at least some picture or say hi. How do you deal with that?
So even before I was on TV, people would be like, oh, I know you from somewhere. Yeah. Right? And so I'm always, my mom is like, oh, just tell them that you're on Keitumetse. No, she's on Keitumetse. Oh, she's on Champions. Oh, she's, And I'm like, Mama, stop it. Don't say it, because it robs of the opportunity to hear, oh, where do you think you know me from? Recently, I ran into a young lady and she was like, oh, you look so familiar. Oh, I've seen you from somewhere. And I'm like, oh, where? And she was like, you look like my aunt. Yeah. And I was like, oh. So we chatted a little bit. I'm like, oh, dumedisa mama nagago. And then she was like, oh, she passed away last year. I'm like, oh.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry to hear that. She's like, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we hugged and she was like, yeah, I just really felt like closeness with my aunt again, because it was her favorite aunt. Yeah. And so I love those stories. I have different experiences as well. Like I remember being a student walking in Melville and someone going, do me. Yeah. And I mean, if someone calls you do me when you're Keitumetse, it's like, yeah, sure. You're going to turn around, hi. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, when. And so, what's am I go buying? Or what's up, and I'm like, I don't think you have the right person. She's like, no, but you're do me Morake. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not. She's like, no, but you just said, yes, you're Dumi. And I'm like, well, Keitumetse, so yes, I'm Dumi. And she's like, oh, lagata we better. Why we better? And I was like, okay. Yeah. So she was very mad. But I'm still waiting for Dumi to play my sister somewhere, because apparently we look so alike.
No, since you mentioned it, I see the resemblance. I actually wasn't aware of that, but since you mentioned it, I see the resemblance.
So when people are like, hey, I know you from somewhere, I'm always just like, it's become so normal that, Oh, there was another lady who was like, I loved your work on The Queen. Like, oh, you're my favorite character. And I looked at her and I'm like, I've never been on The Queen. You're talking about Dinelle?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, but it's you. And I'm like, no. I think I would know if I was Dinelle. Yeah. I think I would know. She's like, Skawara, I still love you anyway. Yeah. And I'm like, thanks. Yeah. So for me, I have more of those kinds of interactions. And sometimes you get the other ones like, oh, can we take a picture? Love your character. When are you coming out of jail? What's happening? So I think it's I think it's just par for the course.
Any moment that maybe you might regret choosing this career?
Sometimes when I look at my bank balance, I'm like, damn, I should have been an engineer. Dad, you were so right.
Yeah. But given the fact that most of the creatives have been complaining about jobs, and it's quite frustrating. We have seen them go into government complaining, raising their issues, Is it something that concerns you or bothers you?
I think it's one of the reasons why I began volunteering at Lawyers for the Arts in 2024. So LASA, Lawyers for the Arts, was founded by Lerato Moloi, who I met years prior at a writing course that was run by the NFBF. And we became fast friends, but we kind of lost track of each other. And then in 2023, we met, I think it was at Durban Film Mart. And we exchanged digits, and then she told me about LASA, that she started because she hadn't been paid as an editor for something like 5 or 6 episodes. And I can imagine how devastating that is. But she would go to different places. She tried the CCMA, she tried this, she tried that, but she just wasn't able to get assistance. And that's not a unique story. I remember having an issue with a contract that I had gotten independently of my agent. And the scope of work just kept shifting. And I was like, but this isn't what I initially agreed to. Can we renegotiate now the rates? Because you're asking for way more than what was initially. This woman literally looked at me and said, you are an effing selfish bee.
Just like that.
And I was like, what on earth? And this woman is old enough to be my mom. Like, but like, this woman has just sworn at me. And I must go and work after this meeting in her office. Like, I must go and perform. And then I was like, no, man, but surely there must be something I can do contractually. I remember going to the Wits Law Clinic, and they read the contract. They were like, girl, I don't know how to help you because I don't know how your industry works. So they were like, no, but there's this place where they do pro bono work, so you could go there, and they specialize in contract law of contracts or something. So I went there, also didn't really get help. And I was just like, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to leave it. But Lerato didn't have that. She was like, no, this cannot keep happening. So she registered and studied law. And that's how LASA was born. So now she's busy pursuing her pupillage. So I took over as the CEO.
And you're the CEO of LASA, because that was my next question, to say, what does the role entail? And for the benefit of our audience as well, in brief, what is the role of LASA?
Okay, so I'll come back to that just now. So for me to be a part of LASA was because I had also suffered an injustice. Lerato had suffered an injustice. There are many artists that suffer injustices all the time. You hear about it on social media. You hear about it when they pass away in the mass media. But these things happen all too often. And so, I like to also think, what is the most loving and beneficial thing? How can you be a part of the change you want to see? That's why I joined the organization. But when I joined it, I began to realize that, I think the thing about creatives is we busy ourselves with the business of creating and not the creative business, So I could be wrong. I imagine that someone like Michael Jackson, he did what he did from a very young age. But if he just busied himself with the business of creativity, he also wouldn't have made the financial moves that he made, because he was also interested in the business of the creative sector. Sports people like Serena Williams, Ronaldo, those are people that you can look at and say, oh, this person was not just about the business of the thing they were doing. They were about the business that contains the thing that they do. And I don't think enough creators maybe are I don't know if I don't want to say they lack curiosity, but maybe the focus is so much on, I must produce really good work so that I can stand out and be like Michelangelo and make a lot of money. But if you understood the parameters of this thing that you're playing in? What are the rules here? How do they work? Then you're able to leverage them in a different kind of way. So like being part of LASA opened my eyes to that. The organization itself, we offer pro bono legal services to creatives. We do workshops and we try to upskill and share knowledge with creatives so that they can know better. When you know some stuff, you can make better choices and you can protect yourself in a better way. So that's kind of the gap that we're trying to bridge between the legal fraternity and the creative sector. But we're also an advocacy institution. But
is it making a difference? Because we still see most of the creatives, they die poor, and some there's always been assertion that it's through poor decisions they are wasting their money, but others, it's contractual issues where they don't know what exactly they are entering in. So is it making any difference since you guys
I think a lot of people maybe still don't know about LASA. I think what's also tricky is, for example, when the LPC gives licenses for law clinics, it has to serve people that are within a certain threshold financially, right? And in our sector, that threshold we find is actually quite far low. Just because someone with 1 gig gets 50,000 Rand, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have a lot of money in this sector, you know? So I think that's also part of the negotiation that maybe we need to have with the LPC, because we're still on the journey towards getting our law clinic license. So it's that, right? It's that people don't necessarily know LASA, which is why I think the advocacy has been something that we've been doing more of maybe this year, because what we would like to see is a tribunal. We would like to have proper mediation, because if we have those kinds of things, or a specialized court, then we're able to get to a place where we can set precedents. And when there are precedents, we're also forcing the law to kind of come to where we are, because the sector is so agile. Because creatives are agile. If there's a problem, they'll be creative and they'll move. But if I have, because I'm also a mom, if I buy my son this really high quality, expensive raincoat, right? I buy it for him now. Next year, because he's in puberty, next year he's 2 sizes bigger. Bigger than, But this is a quality raincoat. It still works. It can still serve the purpose, but it doesn't fit him. And that's the problem. I think a lot of policies and the laws that we have, they're good laws. And so the idea is that, but these are good. Like the bones and the structure, they're good and they're solid. But what maybe the people in that side of the world, the policymakers, the lawyers, what they don't see is that, it's good, but it's not fit for purpose. Because now the child is too big. When they wear it, it's a mamu. So unfortunately, the creative is exposed. They're not properly protected. They're not properly empowered to do certain things. And I think that's why kind of we've been edging more into like advocacy, because maybe we're also able to make a more tangible kind of difference. But that doesn't mean that we're not still trying to educate and help creatives with day-to-day things as well.
No, we're almost coming to an end of our discussion. And any role that LASA is playing with this ongoing copyright case, does it really affect you guys as well?
If it affects creatives, it affects us, honestly. I will say that right now, the thing that LASA has been very preoccupied with is the handover of leadership. So we're in that transition period, just coming out of it now, having taken over from Lerato. I think it's just, tweaking things.
It's work in progress.
So our house is in order, and now we can begin to do things in the Kitu era. I'll call it that. So yes, we're definitely keen to find ways to also add to the conversation of copyright, especially because I think the thing with copyright is any act, if the act tries to be too far-reaching, it doesn't actually serve, because we also need it to be specific so that it can really help. And the needs of someone who's working with beads is not necessarily the same needs of someone who is trying to create a multi-million brand production, you know? And they both have copyright concerns, but the act needs to speak to them specifically. And I think that's also something that I've realized, like people speak of the creative sector and creatives, but there are different kinds of creatives and they all need specialized, specific interventions and tools to help them. So, yeah.
No, fair enough. And I'm not going to ask how much you're earning as a CEO, but it's a topic for another day. And then what's next for Kitu?
I lost my dad in 2024.
Sorry, my condolences.
Thank you. It has also been its own journey. Like, I have always been daddy's girl. So what's a daddy's girl without a dad? What she is someone with a very specific task. So I'm working on an animation project, an ode to my dad, something that I think has been set on my heart since his passing. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on a TV series because my heart is for kids.
Yeah,
I really have a heart for kids. And I miss the days of Soul City. And I look at what's happening with the kids these days and I'm like, Halina Soul City, that's why.
Yeah.
You don't have Sister Bettina to tell you, Hore, when you eat the salt and the oil, hi, they don't have that.
Yes.
So I'm working on a series that's kind of in that pocket of the lived experience. I think also because, and sexual and reproductive health, because I think I'm an 80s child, we didn't get to have certain conversations with our parents for various reasons. And so now we are the parents and we also have freedom. Would you know? Because also people talk about Mjola, the pandemic.
Yeah.
I went on a date the other day and this guy was like, yeah, I'm pretty free. Like, you know, we're not exclusive. We're seeing different people. And I'm like, are you also sleeping with all these different people? I think I'm very conservative. So when I hear how free people are with their hearts and their genitals and I'm just like, wow. But so like these really free parents, is this freedom really good for you?
Yeah.
Are you giving your children the same kind of freedom? So that's something that I'm exploring kind of with this show that I'm in development. So for Kitu, she's writing, she's going into writing and producing tentatively. I'm still performing. I've been having conversations about a stage play. So we'll see if that comes together. I know the board was dissolved, I guess, National Arts Council. Yeah. So that also shifts things in terms of like, the budget, you know?
Yeah, true.
So you begin to have these conversations and then monumentous things like that happen and it's like, pause. So yeah, we're still performing. We're moving into different realms. So there's a lot.
And I was actually gonna ask us through, there's no way that you're not focusing on stage, because that's one element that I think I miss about seeing Keitumetse doing, because I mean, stage, it's something else, you know.
It really is.
I've watched Komeng, you know, you can name them. I mean, the talent is absolutely out of this world. So I can't wait to hear when you're doing your first.
I will keep you posted.
Yes, and then also the show the series you're working on, I think it will be beneficial. We're facing a serious challenge as a country of teenage pregnancy, and it just shows that there's still a lot to be done, because if we still had some educational shows like your Soul City, surely it could have played a major role in trying to give some kind of a guidance. And you were spot on that relationships, for some of us, it was a taboo. You couldn't discuss that with your parents. And at some stage, it does have some repercussions, because others, they become late bloomers, you know, and you encounter all sorts of problems. And we cannot continue to repeat the same mistakes that our parents have done. So I think we have touched on a whole lot of issues, and there was still more that I wanted to discuss. But
I talk too much, don't I?
no,
So
you're
bad.
not. I mean, there's nothing good than having someone who's open, because it makes your job actually much easier. Unlike where you have to try and source and get, So to me, you have been a good guest, and I've learned a lot. And I'm also hoping that we will have a second part where we'll just touch base on how far is the projects that you're working on, also touch on your role at LASA. Is it yielding positive results?
I've said it publicly now, so I have to realize it. Now I can't sit on my laurels. Because when you come back and I'm like, I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
How embarrassing.
Yeah. No, I do. Yeah.
So you're my accountability partner, all of you.
Okay. No, that's fine. Kitu, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
You are one of the most talented people we have in this country.
Thank you.
And don't look back. May you keep shining and representing as well. And I wish you everything of the best. And thank you for your time once again.
Thank you so much. It's been a great, delightful honor to be here. And it's so beautiful to be seen and considered to be part of such amazing things. So I'm also very, very grateful. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, folks. That's all time we had with Kitu. And once again, many thanks, Kitu.
Thank you.